Freemason. The pillars seem to follow the Masonic code, but they were erected 300 years before the meeting of the Goose and Gridiron, at which modern Masonry was founded.
The builder of the chapel, William St. Clair, asked his master mason to carve a very ornate pillar. And the master mason looked at the drawing and said, it's impossible to carve that pillar without seeing the original. I cannot carve it from a mere drawing. So he got himself a holiday out of it, because he was given permission to travel to Italy, Rome in particular, to see the original. Having studied the original, he then travelled back to Roslin in order to carve the pillar.
On his return, he found that his apprentice had crafted a much more magnificent pillar.
He was astounded. Who on earth, he asked, who on earth carved this pillar? And an apprentice stepped forward, very proudly said, I did that. And of course the master mason, in a jealous rage, hit the apprentice and killed him stone dead. And he realized, the master mason, the terrible crime he'd committed, so he took his own life.
Some historians believe that the design of these pillars suggests that their makers had knowledge of masonry. But masons today are quick to clear up any confusion in regard to the pillars of Roslin Chapel.
Well, first and foremost, I would say, and this will shock, I'm quite sure, a lot of people, there is no Masonic symbolism within Roslin Chapel. There's two kinds of masons. There are stonemasons and there are Freemasons, right? That lack of clarity as to what kind of mason is being discussed in numerous books and in, dare I say it, television programs, etc., allows people to become confused as to the subject. So I hear frequently people here coming into the museum and library and quite proudly saying, we built Roslin Chapel, meaning we, the Masons, built Roslin Chapel. Well, of course, Masons built Roslin Chapel, but stonemasons, not Freemasons. And that's the essential difference.
Though Robert Cooper dispels any ideas that the Freemasons were involved with the building of Roslin, he contests the theory that Masonry was born in 1717.
We in Scotland can't accept that because of the written evidence that we have from 100 more years prior to that date. And as I said before, we can actually see people who are not stonemasons joining stonemasons lodges. And it's quite clear, I think, when we look at the stonemason ceremonies, the actual phraseology that's used, the movements, the words, very specific words, which are still part of modern Freemasonry. So it's clear in that sense that they have transferred from the stonemasons' way of doing things into the modern Masonic way of doing things.
This is not the only alternative Masonic creation theory.
We like to think that Freemasonry began in ancient Egypt, if not before, with the builders and decorators of the pyramids.
Ultimately, it really doesn't matter where Freemasonry began, because that's an archaeological question. What really is important about Freemasonry is what it stands for, what it can do for humanity, what it can do for the members.
One interesting aspect of Freemasonry is that the members follow no central authority. There is no Masonic Pope, no Grand Imam, and no Archbishop to issue decrees and edicts.
Freemasonry as such doesn't have a dogma, so it doesn't tell its members what things mean. And that's strange, isn't it, when you think about it? That's a bit weird, that here you have an organisation, but it doesn't tell its members what to think about the organisation. And that's what's unique about Freemasonry.
Another unique aspect is the importance that signs and symbols play in Freemasonry. But Freemasons are adamant it is going too far to see Masonic symbolism in the evidence surrounding Roberto Calvi's death. However, some people say that the bricks found in Roberto Calvi's pockets are a possible link to Freemasonry. And there is London itself, the spiritual home of Freemasonry, and where the idea of this modern secret brotherhood was born. Then there's Blackfriars Bridge, just a tube stop from the Grand Lodge of England, and within sight of St. Paul's Cathedral, built by Masons under the supervision of the Brotherhood's greatest architect, Sir Christopher Wren. Roberto Calvi was a member of P2, a renegade former Masonic lodge, and Friars was apparently a nickname the P2 members called themselves.
All these have sort of exacerbated the claim that Masons were involved. None of this has been proven, and it's not obvious what the motive would be. I mean, perhaps to silence him because he knew too much would be the sort of way to reason.
So how do the Freemasons themselves defend these allegations?
It suggested that he was executed Masonic style, except that we don't put bricks in people's pockets and shove them into rivers.
Masons build with stones, not bricks. But it's just an inventive journalist saying, come on, who's likely to do this? Oh, let's have a go at the Freemasons again. And they think up this thing, but when you actually look at it and examine it, it fizzes away.
The basic premise that underlies all this is a real worrying one for me. The assumption is that because people are Freemasons, they do certain things.
And even non-Masons like Ian Markham think it's a stretch to assume Masonic involvement.
It's a very laborious way to murder somebody. So it is very puzzling why exactly they went to all these efforts and why all these symbols were planted on the body.
Although Calvi's death has definite Freemasonry ritualistic overtones, it doesn't actually mean that it was carried out by Freemasons.
The real question is, why did it take so long to prove that Roberto Calvi did not commit suicide?
No, the case was handled absolutely appallingly. I think there was almost a certain degree of incredulous reporting that, how could this man have committed suicide? The circumstances were so bizarre and so strange, yet the police wanted it to be a suicide.
The Calvi case was not the finest hour of the City of London police, but then the peculiarities of the case were obviously such that within a few months they changed their mind and they changed the verdict was changed from suicide to an open verdict. And in the last few years, the City of London police has come around to the view that Calvi probably was murdered. I can say quite categorically there was no conspiracy by the City of London police because of Masonic symbolism or anything like that.
But still, the people responsible for Roberto Calvi's death seem to go to great lengths to frame the Freemasons. To become a Freemason, new members must be approved by secret ballot. A white ball signifies a yes vote. A single black cube means exclusion. Prospective members should state an interest in joining Freemasonry at their own will and admit to a belief in a supreme being. As new Freemasons go through the ranks, they enter a hierarchy of novice Masons, Master Masons, and Grand Masters. 33 levels, called degrees. Each one reached through a secret initiation and rewarded with a secret password. The first degree is centered around mastering emotions and impulses, and the second about gathering knowledge. The third degree is reached when the candidate brings all these together to become physically purified, mentally sharpened, and intellectually broadened. Third degree initiation is based on the legend of Hiram Abif. Midnight on what could be any street in any town across the world. We are inside this Masonic temple to witness the climax of a strange and sacred ritual, performed only a few times a year. Each ritual features a high level of planning, and behind the scenes, it looks like backstage of any theater.
Martha, I need this one taken in just about an inch, okay?
But these men are not actors performing for our cameras. They are businessmen and lawyers, citizens and brothers. 21st century Freemasons acting out a scene that has been played out in exactly the same way at Masonic lodges all over the world since the early 1700s. A scene that leads to a chilling climax and a single secret word, seemingly absurd to outsiders but serious to the men in the phony beards and what look like Santa Claus suits. The ritual's central character is a biblical stonemason named Hiram Abiff, architect of King Solomon's temple in Jerusalem. He is a minor biblical figure mentioned in the Bible's Book of Chronicles, transformed into the central character of Masonic legend and ritual.
Grand Master Hiram Abiff, I am glad to have met you thus alone. This is an opportunity I have long sought. You promised that when the temple would be completed that you would give us the secret word of a Master Mason.
He is being accosted by 3 younger workmen known as Jubilah, Jubilo, and Jubilam. They demand from him a password that they think will grant them wisdom and power.
Hiram, King of Tyre, and myself.
Grand Master Hiram Abiff, for the last time I demand of you the secret word of a Master Mason, or I will take your life.
My life you shall have, my integrity never.
Then die.
The old man's refusal costs him his life.
Grand Master Hiram Abiff, I heard you cavilling with Jubilah and Jubilo. From them you have escaped, but from me never. My name is Jubilam. What I propose, that I perform. I hold in my hand an instrument of death. If you refuse me now, you do so at your peril. I say, give me the secret word of a Master Mason.
I will not.
I demand of you the secret word of a Master Mason.
I cannot.
Grand Master Hiram Abiff, for the 3rd time, I demand of you the secret word of a Master Mason.
Your demands are vain. Wait until the temple is completed, and I will do my best to serve you.
Then die.
Hiram Abiff embodies the values that all Masons strive for in their quest to become Master Masons.
He's a personification of a belief system. It's purely Masonic myth.
Robert Lomas is author of Turning the Hiram Key. He is a Freemason.
And Hiram Abiff represents the ego. And the ego has to be slain before the spirit can rise free. So you've got to learn to control your ego. And it's a very dramatic ritual.
Then die.
The mythical architect suffers a painful death. Now, according to legend, word reaches King Solomon that his Master Mason has been murdered.
Alas, I fear the Master's word is lost, for you will remember that it was agreed between yourself, myself, and Grand Master Hiram Abiff that the secret word of a Master Mason would not be given unless we 3 were present and agreed. One of our number is no more.
The old password of a Master Mason has died with Hiram Abiff.
Brethren, let us rise. I shall substitute a word which shall be used for the regulation of all Master Mason lodges until the wisdom of future generations should discover and bring to light the true word.
Now King Solomon creates a new word, a word that no Mason at this meeting would pronounce on or off camera. Of all the secrets of Freemasonry, none is as tightly guarded as a single 3-syllable word, the passkey to the 3rd degree, the degree of Master Mason. The secret word is Mahabone. The most common interpretation of this word is that it is a corruption of the Hebrew Mahabone, which can be translated as, "Is this the builder?" The word is bestowed in a whisper to the soon-to-be Master Mason, along with a hand grip and stance. Although it is easy to find this secret word online or in a reference book, its true meaning eludes all but those who are initiated into the Masonic mysteries. For Freemasons, the issue is not the word itself. It is the moral lesson of having and keeping the secret and respect for those who have earned their wisdom. This ritual is called the 3rd degree. In this initiation ceremony for all new members, the candidate plays the role of Hiram Abiff. The candidate is blindfolded and led around the lodge room. He is not told what to expect. The fear is very real. The Masons confront him, demanding the secret password of a Master Mason. the candidate's conductor answers on his behalf.
When the temple would be
Craftsman, this is neither the time nor the place to give the secret word of a master mason.